breeze blowing, storm clouds moving in. Whatever's gonna happen, it's about to begin. I remember what the drunk donkey told me when he said, son, don't fear. Mike's where the page life is about to appear. Then he's gonna tell you about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you which way it's going, and if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news that they try to hide. Just click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Well, there'll always be some haters, but they don't understand that Mike's got a friend and 100,000 more across the land. Well, if you want to know it first and you want to know it right and you want to have time to plan, Drunk Donkey Nation tells your friend Mike, he's your man. Then he's gonna tell you all about the wind and the rain. Gonna tell you if it's gonna be a storm or if it's gonna be a hurricane. Don't you worry about the news others try to hide. Click on Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nationwide. Yeah, here at Mike's page, Drunk Donkey Nation pride.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome Sunday evening Daily Brew Tropics. The hot topic on everybody's mind. We got a lot to talk about. Things are happening fast, especially if you're in Florida. So I'm going to catch you up with all the latest. I just saw Howard. See Howard, Shelley? All right, so here we are, everybody. Oh my God, another hurricane barreling down on Florida. Kind of scary, I will admit. This thing is now predicted to be a Cat 2. The wording of the National Hurricane Center is kind of like it was at 5 a.m. They're kind of letting everybody know there's a chance this could even be more. Don't know what happened at 11 p.m. 11 p.m. they made it sound like it was nothing. In fact, 11 p.m. they issued the first advisory, and they didn't even call it a tropical storm. Playing with people's emotions. So we had Louie on this morning. This is Hunter. So, all right, real quick. Housekeeping stuff. Who am I? This is Mike from Mike's Weather Page. Welcome, everybody. Been doing this since 2004. We've been live online since 2016, almost every day, night. Every time there's a storm, you can count on us. Streaming live now on X and also on YouTube. So welcome, everybody, where you're watching us. A lot of TikTokers, man. We're up to almost 200,000 followers on TikTok. So welcome if you're over there. From there, I'm not a real meteorologist. No discredit to real pros in the world. I have a lot of real meteorologist friends, but always get your official information from the National Hurricane Center, National Weather Service, or anyone you feel trusted to get your news from. Nothing I say is official whatsoever. Never has, never will. And I never claim it to be. Getting meteorologists telling me what I should and shouldn't say lately is kind of funny, because I'm like, well, maybe you're the big dogs. They should be listening to you, not me. All right. A lot of great sponsors. We go over everybody. ABC Fine Wine Spirits, of course, located in Florida. Let's talk to them. I got a little banner here on my big dogs. We got a new couple new ones we're going to be proudly introducing here in the weeks ahead, but we're going to focus all on tropics right now and get right into it. So we'll be live tomorrow morning at 9:19, guaranteed. But we do have hurricane watches up for Florida. they will soon be warnings. Watches are a little deceiving. They issue those before the warning. So a watch just pretty much means it's coming. So if you're at a watch area, more than likely you're going to be in a warning area by tomorrow. So what do you think, Hunter? Remember when we got Hunter? We named him Hurricane Hunter because he was named by you, Hurricane Hunter. All right. So seriously, it's time to really take this serious, everybody. The intensity level went up a little bit from the National Hurricane Center. For some reason, I'm getting a feeling like it's not being talked about a lot if you're in Florida. Maybe because we have like Ian hangover and Nicole hangover. I don't know, but Category 2 isn't nothing to mess around with. And like I said, they're expecting maybe possibly more. So I'm just going to dive right into all kinds of stuff. I got a bunch of windows open up here. I'm going to show everybody the latest models, what to expect, and go from there. I will be storm chasing, by the way. Tuesday I'm taking off, so you'll be able to watch live footage from inside the old storm chaser. All right, so first let's talk about Franklin real quick. We got people in Bermuda. This thing is getting a little tighter. It's still going to pass just off to the west. You're out of the cone now. Don't want to say you're not going to feel anything. Windy app here showing potential passing by on Wednesday. Really close. You're going to get some weather on Wednesday. This is your latest Euro. So the good news is the core of Franklin should stay off the island, but expect midweek storms for sure. The latest spaghetti models on Tropical Tidbits here. You can see the little dot. This is Bermuda. So hopefully it stays away because we do have a lot of supporters there. I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. We've been tracking that. This is what we're going to talk about now. This is a bubbling area of low pressure. This is the Yucatan. This is Cuba. Very large, 500 miles plus wide. We measured it earlier. It's still 550 miles. Large area convection. It has expanded throughout the day. Large systems take a little time to get organized, but it's almost guaranteeing a larger area will feel the effects as this moves off to the north. Larger systems can push more surge. Larger systems can produce more feeder bands away from center. So this is what it looks like. It's large, right? Let's take another look at it here in a second, but I want to get into all the latest models. So this is the 5 o'clock update. There'll be a new one at 11 o'clock. Pink areas, a large area of the Florida West Coast now under hurricane watch. That just means within the next 48 hours, you might experience hurricane conditions. When we're within 36 hours, they will turn red. And more than likely, we're going to have a lot of area under red. The system is getting larger. So timing's still the same. Late Tuesday, things really start to go downhill. It looks like it's going to be possibly an overnight Tuesday night into Wednesday landfall. Worst timing, right? It's going to be a fast mover. We're going to see effects in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. We got some big, heavy rain totals I'm going to show you. Barely a tropical storm. It still might even be a hurricane in a large part of Georgia. So a lot of trees. I don't have to tell you, winds, rains, and trees don't get along really good. And we might have some areas that haven't seen anything like this. Tallahassee eastward. So we could see a lot of trees down, a lot of power outages down. And this is going to extend well into Georgia and well into South Carolina. This thing's going to be going so fast, it's not going to have a lot of time to slow the intensity down. Fast-moving systems, weak and slow, bringing effects way inland. And if it is deepening pressure while it makes landfall, it takes a little while to start going the other way. So intensifying system at landfall is the worst. You have the highest amount of surge, and you have the larger impacts inland from a system that's still developing. And again, the coast here, we might have hurricane watches up along the South Carolina, Georgia, North Carolina coast too, as this thing escapes. Because we get a lot of models suggesting this thing could still be hurricane strength as it exits. Timing is fast, is long gone by Friday. That hasn't changed. Really, the track hasn't changed much at all, if you think about it. I mean, if you look back a few days ago, That's exactly where we were drawn, right? That's pretty much has not changed. We've seen wiggles, we've seen wobbles. The cone has not changed. Let's talk about the cone. I know I sound like a broken record, but the cone is very important, all right? The cone has shifted a little bit to the east, including all of Tampa Bay now. The cone is anywhere that the eye of the storm can go, not the effects. I joked about it earlier because Julie said the same thing. She's like, well, I'm like, you want me to have a vacuum? You want me to get a hotel for the girls? And she's like, no, we're on the edge. We should be okay. Well, that's what I think a lot of us are trained. When you see this cone, you think the center line. The farther out from the center, you think, I'm okay. This is only where the eye could go. It has nothing to do with the effects of the storm. This is only where the center of the storm. Ask anybody with Ian. I know I'm a broken record if you listen this morning, but maybe some people that weren't here this morning. Ian was on this outside edge of the cone. They got the eye. So pay attention to that eye. The eye is anywhere in this general area. And the effects can go way past the eye. If we're going to see a lot of squalls, a lot of tornadoes. We're going to see squally weather on both sides of the state. As this thing approaches, we're going to see storms coming in around, fueling off of that Atlantic on initial approach. Guaranteed. And that's going to start maybe Monday. But Monday and Tuesday for sure, we're going to see a lot of storms across the lower half of Florida. And then this is all going to shift once our storm exits. We're going to start to see storms wrapping around into the coastal areas, Georgia, Carolinas. So it's a twofold system here. We got two areas watching potential impacts. And this cone will change. Number one advice you can tell everybody, don't focus on that center line ever, because that'll get you in trouble every time. It's the cone that we look at. Here's discussion. So 5 o'clock this morning, the discussion was mentioning high resolution models. We could see rapid intensification. Like, holy cow. Like, we could see something really getting strong that a lot of us believe could happen. Hot water, time of year, where it's at, what we've seen in history. Then the 11 o'clock came out, and it pretty much acted like it was nothing. They're like, we're at the top of the intensity models, and this is it. Well, and then the 5 o'clock came out. They bumped it up to 100 mile an hour, Cat 2. And if you read between the lines, given the uncertainties, users should monitor future forecasts for possible changes in the predicted strength and prepare for possible significant impacts. So that's basically telling you, hey, this thing could still strengthen more than they're showing. Not scaring anybody, but they're not mentioning the brand new HAFS model that did so well last year over everybody else. I think I read it did 15% better than all the models last year. So that's showing a lot stronger system, as are others. And I'm going to show these all to you. All right, so that's that. I'm going to show you all the spaghetti models just to show you what we got going on. Majority of the models are still, focusing upper panhandle, down to the Big Bend, kind of down to Tampa. Take it for what it's worth. There's that one. Let's look at latest tropical tidbits. Hopefully the 00Z came out. Not yet. Actually, it's at 9 p.m. So these were the latest tropical tidbits models. We'll have a new suite at 9 o'clock p.m. This is the Navy model. I can't say don't believe it, but Navy model is not very good at all. So pretty much clustered here north of Tampa Bay with that curve off. There has been a little trend to the east. Every run, the NHC cone, the last two adjustments, 5 o'clock to 11, they nudged it east. The 11 o'clock to 5 o'clock, they nudged it east. History tells you Irma, Ian, Charlie all rode on that east side of the cone. We have an approaching front coming down, picking this up, turning it off. There's no way this thing's going off to the west. There's a front coming. They all merge with these approaching fronts, the steering patterns. So that is the driving function of this thing, and confidence is pretty high. But as we've seen in the past, storms have more of a tendency to turn earlier than later the stronger they get. Here's some more. These are your latest Euro ensembles. I'm going to zoom it a little closer so you can see it. But this just shows you a really tight cluster. Confidence is high on this track with this turn out to sea. A little bit less in North Carolina than we have been seeing. Even the GFS, which I rarely show, is this is on Weather Nerds, by the way, weathernerds.org. Even the GFS, even though it's not been very good lately, it's almost exactly the same as the Euro. Here are the latest zoomed in plots on Weather Nerds for the Euro at 12Z. This is the most recent run, and you can see a pretty good spread now inching closer to Tampa Bay area. There's a couple outliers south, there's a couple outliers west. There's 51 members of the Euro, so you kind of have to put it in perspective. You know, like 1 or 2 out of 51 is in high percentages. Remember, last year with Ian, there was a couple days before the storm, I think all the models were up here. A lot of that was based off the GFS, but there was a whole bunch of ensembles down here. So the Euro was doing this, everybody else was doing that. The difference with this storm, as far as confidence goes, this is the NHC track. This is where the Euro ensembles are pointing. This is where a lot of the models are pointing. With Ian, we had a huge spread. The NHC was using a lot of that spread, and it made it look like the Panhandle was in play. A lot of the models were pointing to the Panhandle, when in reality, all the GFS, or excuse me, all the European ensembles were down south. Big difference. We had a discrepancy. A lot of models did this when the Euro did that. That makes you wonder, this is more confident. So confidence is still as high as it was a couple days ago that this thing's going to turn. The wiggles and the wobbles, how close to the coast is the question mark. Bigger the system, it might not even matter as far as effects go. It will matter on eventual eye wall landfall, but the overall effects are still going to be the same. The surge effects, the closer it gets to the west coast, they're going to increase. So really haven't seen a big change. The only thing we've seen is a little bit shifting down again. We did a lot of windshield wipers. We call it windshield wiper effects. We've seen it a bunch this time around. We have some with the Panhandle, they came back, Panhandle back. Now we're kind of seeing a little bit honing in a little more to the east. So anyway, there's the latest on that. All right, so let me talk about a lot of other things. Surge. All right, so this is a brand new graphic put out at National Hurricane Center at 5 o'clock. This is your surge estimates, okay? It says inclusive of the tide. We'll see. However, red 7 to 11 feet. That's a lot. Crystal River, Homosassa Springs are two cities that are in that red. Down to Anclote River, 5.8. That's Tarpon Springs. This track changes a little bit. The surge comes with it. The intensity comes up, the surge increases. 3 to 5 foot Tampa Bay, down to Sarasota. So there's your surge. I got that on the website. You can update. 11 o'clock, there'll be a new surge map. They don't change this a lot. We're at the point where confidence is getting a little high, but this will get adjusted if the track changes. I do this presentation every year, and I'm going to pull it up. This is Tropical Storm Ada back in 2020. Just to give you an example of what happened with Ada. Tampa Bay was under a 3 to 5 foot surge for Ada. The same exact what they're showing now, 3 to 5 foot, is what they showed for Ada. Almost exactly the same. Ada had a record surge for Tampa Bay. And that was dating back to 91. But that was, a lot of storms came through here since 1991. So because of Ada, even with 4 foot surge, we had hundreds of homes flooded in the Pinellas County area. Hundreds of homes. Water rescues. People along the Pinellas County coastline, Redding Shores, Madeira Beach, Indian Rocks Beach, St. Petersburg. People were waking up to a foot or two of water in their homes and having to get water rescued. So that was the same exact 3 to 5 foot with a full moon. So we have the same scenario, full moon. This is what Ada looked like when it came by. It was only a tropical storm. Wasn't very strong. It was a tropical storm, but it did that. So, all of Safety Harbor here was underwater. What was that, Bayshore or something? This is the track, almost the same thing as Ada. So, got my eye on this possibility. Been talking a lot about it. Worst timing for a supermoon, king tide. Okay, let's go look now at individual models. Let me slow down a little bit. So I don't know if we're evacuating. Shelly said that's a big question. I'm going to wait. I'm probably never going to put window boards up again, ever. That big pain in the butt for me. We got a great window sponsor now, so I'll just ask for a favor. But it's, I don't know. I mean, surge is always an issue if this thing turns towards us, but I don't know if they will evacuate or not. That's a question. So I always tell everybody the best advice is to listen to your local officials. When your local Pinellas County, Hillsborough, Pasco, or whatever county you live in, whatever they say, think hard. They get issues from Tallahassee to Florida Division of Emergency Management. We're really good friends with Mr. Kevin Guthrie. They're doing an amazing job. I got the link on the website right here. If you go to spaghettimodelshere.com, there it is right there. Florida Division of Emergency Management. And they are doing all kinds of social media posts, keeping everybody up to date. Every city now, their EOC pages, they're going to start issuing evacuations. Know your zone at this point. Google it, what zone you're in, because when the evacuations come out for your city, they're going to say, all right, zone A, zone B, or something. Know your zone. If you don't know your zone, you better know your zone right now. Not your auto zone. Evacuation zone. Remember, almost 90% of all fatalities in hurricanes are water related. Inland flooding and surge, saltwater flooding. So if you're concerned about that, the worst possible, dying in a hurricane, water, stay away from the water. You run from the water and hide from the wind. So, new suggestion, it makes a lot of sense. They're telling people only go tens of miles away from home. Don't, you can't really go hundreds of miles away from home because it's still going to be a hurricane, maybe over Jacksonville. So where do you go, right? They suggest, staying away from the water. So now think about it, hotels, friends, family, make a phone call. Say, hey, you got room for you? We're going to come over. Make sure, you got your pets and pet medicine and your medicines. And, I got a great link here on the top of the site, Hurricane Plan and Prepare, right there. Read those. They're really good. They're put together by a hurricane center. Things you need to take with you. Things to think about. How to prepare your home. Get gas now before it runs out. And we got a gas problem. You need to Google it. At Port of Tampa, I thought it was fake. Now I just saw Florida DEM share it, but there was a Citgo issue that they got diesel put in the wrong tank or something. So if you went to Citgo, Google that, but make sure you get gas. Fill up your cans. If you got generators, you got to have gas for generators. Get a plan. Make sure your generator starts tomorrow. If it's an automated start, charge the battery. Charge your little power bank batteries if you got those. Make sure you have a 110 volt power converter that you can plug into your car, because if you lose power and you don't have a generator, at least if you have a 110 power inverter, they're like $15 at Walmart, a low wattage one. That'll be at least good enough that you could charge your cell phones or whatever else, run your laptops so you can go online. So this is time to prepare. Have an idea if you're going to be in an evacuation zone, because it's serious. The modeling. Let's look at the current models. So again, the website here, I got everything. We got earliest expected winds Tuesday 8 a.m. here. So by Tuesday morning, South Florida is going to start feeling tropical storm force winds. So that means to me likelihood Tuesday 8 p.m. probably going to be a lot of school closures on Tuesday, and probably Wednesday, because they have to open these up for shelters. Buses can't be on the road, so watch for that. Great map though, showing you when you might start feeling tropical storm force winds. And you might think, well, why is that possible? Well, when the storm's here, this storm's 500 miles wide. You're going to start feeling the effects way outside the center. Just because you see a landfall at midnight doesn't mean it's going to be going downhill at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. Like I said, this thing's 500 miles wide. It's huge. I wanted to show this earlier, and I went to all that, but let's take a look. And it is kind of unprecedented to see two hurricanes this close together. Franklin's right over there, but look at the size of this thing. There's a huge. Let me show you Franklin. There's a huge difference of what's going on down here. There's a lot of moisture. The one thing that's been catching my eye from day one is that we don't have a lot of dry air down there. We have wind shear expected, but there's a lot of moisture. We looked at it this morning. There's a lot of precipitable water. There's a lot of moisture down here. Look, it's bubbling right now. There's a little dry air ingestion today, but look at the size of this thing. It's pulling in. This is not an organized system right now, but that's huge. And if we measure that, it's grown. They're 570 miles. That's 570 miles. That's 620. You could probably say that's 645. So you could. It's definitely grown since we did our little show this morning. So that's the overall size of the juice. And you got to think here. Now listen, if this thing goes north, it doesn't matter. I mean, look at this moisture. It's going to be coming with it. That's why the whole peninsula is going to feel something. You're going to feel. We're likely to see tornadoes on this. Miami, Fort Lauderdale. We're going to have squalls coming in off of the Gulf Stream here. We see that a lot. Bigger systems surprise a lot of folks on the other side of the state. Don't expect anything. As this thing approaches here, depending on where it's at, we can start to see surge problems piling up there, that northern Florida, southern Georgia that we saw during Irma. Very, 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 very possible. As a matter of fact, the Sierra map shows that here already, how some of the surge is starting to show up northern Jacksonville into Brunswick. I don't know if this is the latest track or not, but so yeah, prepare for that. Both sides of the state will be feeling it. Here, like I said, here's your rainfall maps. These are getting updated. Orange is 6 to 10 inches all the way up to Georgia now. Big pockets through Georgia, 6 to 10. We'll have rain training where you'll get set up some storms that actually flow and maybe not stop. So this is just an overall consensus. We're going to definitely see pockets of rain more. This is way more than what was with Harold because we don't have any dry air out there. Harold had a lot of dry air. So you're going to have flooding rains. Yellow's 4 to 6, 6 to 10 in the orange. This could get bumped up to maybe 10, 15. The Euro is definitely predicting little pockets of 10 to 15 wherever this thing decides to go. Let's see what else I got. We got Ensemble, Storm Satellite page, microwave imagery. Not really showing the core yet. This kind of is a little, yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely getting a little more organized. The Dvorak numbers down to 9. It's not 1,000 millibar. That's good. Hasn't gotten too much stronger yet. Key messages are very important. These come out at 5 and 11. Tells you everything you might need to know. Totally great key points from the National Hurricane Center. Hurricane Hunters links right below that. You can follow along. They got missions out there right now. They have a flight leaving Tampa Bay right now. This one might be going to measure the front. They measure everything. They go measure how strong the front is coming down. They measure humidity in the atmosphere. They'll measure the shear way ahead of it. It's coming. I mean, all this data gets fed into the models, and so the next run of models at 00Z midnight will have all this fresh data from the Hurricane Hunters. And they basically have 3 flights going. They have 4 flights. All right, now this is a cool one. This is your upper level air. So they're measuring the sampling. This is Tampa right here. They're measuring what's out ahead of it. They're looking at all kinds of stuff right now. They're not doing the classic. This is an upper level wind mission, but So they have 4 flights out there right now. That's on there, and you can follow along with that. So, all right, so I'm going to take a second. Let me zoom in on Tropical Tidbits, show you all the latest models. God, and of course, the first thing I see is people worried about where they live. I just don't do that. Sorry, I never had. It's just impossible. Little tracks shifts in here and there. I mean, hopefully you get a sense by looking at the size of the storm and the rain. You're going to get something. I mean, we'll get some high resolution radar presentations here in a second that'll kind of show you the bands and how they're going to affect both sides of the state as our system approaches landfall. So, all right, here we go. This is the latest on Tropical Tidbits. Let's just super duper zoom in here. Let's just go this way. So the euro is definitely stronger. I'm trying to find the best looking one here. I guess we can go right here and let's look at winds. I kind of like the wind one. So the euro's expecting a lot stronger system than it has. Okay, the last advisory here had it at 979 on landfall. Huge difference in this morning. The euro was never even in the 980 range, so now it's definitely intensified every run. And it's very close to Tampa, closer than Ada was, meaning more effects for the peninsula. And look at these winds. These 10 meter winds are already out here, indicating the size of the storm. It's going to be pretty large. And that's a few discussions that I read from some people where the size of the storm appears to be growing in overall size. Now we're starting to see, some of the effects of the shear that definitely is incoming, pushing all that convection off to the east. But again, just to show you that, both sides of the state are going to be feeling this thing. So anyway, latest euro down to 979, still 990 smack dab over northeast Florida, Jacksonville area. Timing there would be Wednesday morning. And there's that skirt, 988, right along the coast. These are, strong winds right along the Carolina coast Thursday, and then Friday it's long gone. Latest Canadian model, showing those winds a little more to the north. Canadian's not a very good tracking model, but not, it's showing you the basic idea where it's going. Icon was trending towards Tampa. It's a little more to the north now, north of Tampa, doing that little skirt. I think the biggest change today has been the exit. We had a lot of them going over here. Now we're having more along the coast before it gets on out of here. So the biggest shift more than anything has been the exit, less through the mountains and less, through the land, and more possibly exit through the coast as it gets on out of here. Both Franklin and Idalia are going to turn like amazingly the same. They're going to be following each other. All right, so there's the icon. Then we'll look at the GFS just for fun. And it's, the farthest west, but strong, 958. So you get, confidence is pretty darn high as far as the track at this point. It's Sunday night. We got, by tomorrow, things are 100% going to be very fine-tuned as we're going to be a day away. Tuesday night, Wednesday morning landfall. There's a GFS showing Wednesday morning landfall. Euro showing a Wednesday morning landfall, early Wednesday morning landfall. That's Wednesday morning. Icon showing a Wednesday morning landfall. Morning meaning like maybe even still dark out. The Canadian model showing a Wednesday morning landfall. So timing is pretty good. So let's look at the high resolution models. These are the scary ones, man. These are the ones that some people get mad that I share, but they need to be shared. They are possibilities. So the HAFSA was an experimental model last year, and it performed very well. They're going to make it operational very soon. It's on tropicaltidbits.com, and it's showing a 941 storm. People ask what the millibars mean. Well, millibars are the lower the millibars, the stronger the storm. So 941 millibar storm would be in the old school, could be a 4. They don't measure cat sizes by millibars anymore. They only use wind speed. But the old Saffir-Simpson scale, technically, in 941 could have been a 4. Could have been. Still 956 off the side of Tampa here. So if this thing turns a little bit, 956 is a strong Cat 3. And we're not that far off. If I had any gut feeling, would be what we've learned with Charlie, Irma, and Ian, would be a last second turn from these approaching cold front strong systems that are developing. So this is what I would prepare for the possibility, just on gut experience. Doesn't take away the effects of inland folks, but it's so darn close. We'll see if that trend continues. The HFSA-B, another version of it, showing a 18Z running now, 12Z. They're initializing the pressure kind of low too. I don't know, they might be initializing a little too low, but anyway, they're showing a 955, 960, 956, 958 actually, right off the coast of Tampa, going to 936. So 2 intensity models showing you this rapid intensification. And this is, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning. If it turns earlier, might not have as much time to develop if it's not developed by then. The HMON, another hurricane-specific model, 958. I can't even tell where it's at. What is it going on? That's Franklin, that's why. I tell you. All right. And the 18Z is running now, 12Z. And it's strong too, so 931. This is what the Hurricane Center is cautiously kind of letting people know. There's a chance that we could see it intensity really increased. Here's Tampa Bay. Here's 969, 966, 964, 957. So, what that's telling me more than anything is that no models are showing a weakening on approach. They all read the same air patterns. They all read, all the same data. Not one model is showing a weakening upon approach, and that's definitely concerning. So, but those are the facts. Let me show you some high resolution radar to kind of give you an idea what that could look like for the middle of the state. Oh, somebody just posted on the FSU parent page my TikTok. Who is this, by the way? Let me tell you advice. Always save names on your phones because you never know who they are. So let's look at radar and what that could look like. All right, so HFSA-A. And basically, well, we do have a parent version of that, which is larger, but not moisture. It's just so hard to show. It just doesn't really portray. Let me try it on another map here. Let's see if we get a wider angle. I just want to make clear that we're going to see feeder bands through all of Florida Peninsula. And with daytime heating on Tuesday, they can get strong. We can have tornado warnings. It's very common because it's feeding off the heat of the water below at the Keys. It'll be feeding off the water on the Atlantic side. All right, let's see if this one looks good. So here we go. Already showing them on Monday night. This just gives you the idea. This is Monday night, how large our system could be. The eye could still be down by Cuba, but we're already seeing bands of storms in central Florida. And look at these bands rolling up that are going to eventually curve up into the state. So this is the point, is don't focus on the center line. We're going to have some nasty storms throughout the day, the closer this thing gets to Florida. Here's Tuesday morning, big band setting up. It's hard to tell the exact placement of any of these bands, but you basically see what I'm talking about. When our storm's off the coast of Tampa, if it doesn't even make landfall, we got a lot of storms over here coming in off of the Atlantic, spiraling in. So they'll be fast moving. They'll be daytime heating. They'll have embedded tornadoes with them. And, that's what happens. And sometimes these are worse than the storm itself because you do have instability in the atmosphere with the daytime heating. And as this thing goes north, we start to see the second stuff start happening. So here's landfall, but look what's happening. Now we're starting to get these storms coming in even more as this thing wraps around our system. Second thing that we see with tropical systems, I haven't mentioned it once yet, and I just remembered, is this. This is going to happen 100%. So there's our storm making landfall. We get another day sometimes of this. There's been hurricanes in Florida that, as our storm raced off, these little guys tagged along the next day, and we had tornadoes out the bazoo on Wednesday here possible. So that's a real likelihood that no matter what happens and where this thing goes, the Wednesday we're going to see more storms. This is Wednesday morning. We're going to see a lot of these storms pulling back up. That's why I'm thinking Tuesday, Wednesday, most of the schools are probably going to just take off. I mean, look at this. This is Wednesday night. Still getting a band of storms through the central part of Florida here. As our intensity is definitely picking up now on the coast. These little guys are going to be racing in. They're going to be fueling off of that Gulf Stream and fueling big storms along the Carolina coast. And we're still going to be dealing with high tides. We're still going to be dealing with, surge issues because of the increased tides, king tide, supermoon, whatever you want to call it. And there you go. Let's look at some rainfalls for the Carolinas, because the National Hurricane Center isn't showing you that. They're only showing initial right now. So let's look a little bit more into rainfall potential. So we have an approaching front. It's going to put a little bit of rain down. But the core of the system here is going to be quite intense. This is rainfall through Friday. And we're seeing, now this is a blend of models, so it's it's probably not the most aggressive, because this won't pick up on rain training or isolated showers. But what's really catching my eye is half an inch of rain here along a big part of the Florida West Coast. Heavy rains wherever this thing makes landfall. A lot of these are skewed off of the GFS. So if our track is a little bit more east, all this rain ends up coming farther down into the state and more coastal. So this is all track dependent, but that moisture, regardless, is in the atmosphere. It's the track. But look up here in the Carolinas. We're seeing a lot of places 6, 7, 8, 9 inches here in South Carolina, North Carolina. So this thing's going to get wider as it exits with that frontal boundary, and the rains are going to increase quite a bit along the Carolinas. more than likely. So let's take a look at the Euro rains. I bet you it's going to show a little bit more of this rain train possibility that we're probably going to end up seeing in some spots. And see the track? The track's a lot different with the Euro because it's got the heavy stuff off the coast. Reds are still 3 to 4 to 5 inches. There's a couple big heavy spots, 6 to 7, 8, max 12, but that's purple. And this has been bouncing around. So again, it's all on track. This goes a little bit to the north than all this purple stuff earlier today. But the blend's a good idea how much moisture is in the air. Makes sense right there. Another map that's starting to come into play. It only goes out 72 hours. It's a max gust map from the National Weather Service. Ooh, getting a little closer. It's only based, I don't know what they base it off of. It's definitely not even official, but it starting to show wind potential. It might be going out now, maybe, I don't know. But it'll get tweaked. It'll definitely be a good one. And I'll link it a lot. I don't think it's accessible other than this free site that I got. But, you know, these are the pockets of winds that we're going to be watching. And as our track gets a little more confident, this will make more sense. I don't really like the way it looks right now, honestly. I wonder if I got the wave map on my site. There used to be one that you could use called the winds and waves map. I think I have it. No, I don't even think I have it on here. No, I don't. Maybe I should put it on there. Okay, I don't know. All right, so let me show you two more maps on the National Hurricane Center site. Then I'll start reading some comments. So they added a bunch of links on their site here. This is the surge inundation and watch and warnings. The inundation map is interesting because it kind of takes into account current conditions. So you can zoom in and see, like my area. Wait a minute. Did they? Wow. It's supposed to be live based on current track. It is. Well, anyway, so you could really zoom in here to your area and kind of get an idea of what they're saying expected surge. Wow, we got some high numbers already. Surprised. This is interesting. Wow. Maybe let's just say this isn't 100%, maybe not official. I don't know, but these are some. Well, it's experimental. Makes sense, right? I mean, obviously, well, it's got to be current because look at the Cedar Key area or the Big Bend area here. Where's my labels map right here? We could put the labels on. Homosassa Springs. I mean, God, man, look at that Tampa Bay area. So, wow. Anyway. Luckily, if it does take this track, there's a lot of marshland that's down here. You know, the biggest cities that I see are Crystal River, Yankeetown, Homosassa for the surge. But, man, as we've talked about a million times, man, it doesn't matter. Hudson, you know, the east side of a storm, I mean, there's Hudson, a lot of area. Could be 6 feet. And, you know, these are housing back here. So very, 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 very important to be paying attention to these surge numbers if you're living on the coast here. I mean, look at Oldsmar. Look at Clearwater, man. This is very interesting. We might see, well, we are going to see evacuations. But look at this surge along the Florida or the west coast of Pinellas here. This is the areas that got flooded with Ian. Oh, that's a lot of surge for Tampa Bay, man. I mean, I guess I've been talking about it. It's nothing new. I just seeing it now. I'm like, wow. So, and just imagine if the track shifts a little bit more towards the coast. And imagine if it gets a little stronger. Very important to stay alert on. I don't think they have Jacksonville yet. I'm sorry. I wish they would. So the other link, wow, that's crazy. I believe it. I totally believe it. Totally believe it. The other link here, so these surge maps I have on my site. The very first one, surge map, right here. This is that Sierra site that I can't say it's an official source, but pretty darn close. And and it was showing yellow and orange here in Tampa too, so it's pretty darn close on current surge based on the current track. So here's your Jacksonville. It's showing up. Green 3, 4, 5 feet. Brunswick. If you're in any areas that normally flood, we're up to 5+ feet. Oh, you know what? You can click on it. By the way, listen, I did this before. I think you can click. Okay. Yeah. All right, so let's go a little more impacted area. Tybee Island. I know we have a lot of fans. Hilton Head. All right, so let's for example, you can really zoom in here. Hopefully there's not a lot of housing over here. But you go over here to this little search bar and you click. I remember this last year. Did they change it? Nope. All right, that ain't it. Where the hell is it? No, wait a minute. Come on. I remember clicking on it last year. There it is. I see a little spinny thingy. There you go. So it's the 3 little bars. Everybody loves bars. It'll zoom into that particular location. So it's supposed to be, 5 feet. It's a good map, though. I mean, look at this. We're already getting orange. Orange is technically close to 6 feet plus. Charleston. Based on the current track. Remember, every time a track changes, this is going to change with it, but not really sure, if this area up here floods a lot anyway, but that's dark orange, and that's close to 7 feet. So that could be a big issue along the Carolina coast as this thing brings in some waves. So Destin area, no, you're on the good side. Remember, surge is all based on track. Destin, you're going to have nothing. All your surge rotates in counterclockwise as our storm, wherever it's going to go. Let's look at the Euro wave map, now that the Euro's faster than it was earlier. This is the scary model. This is the one that people think I try to hype. Like, why would you post that? Oh, well, I don't know. All right, so wave height on the Euro, the latest 12Z. Now we're seeing 45 foot still, 46 foot, 46 foot. That's crazy. That close to coast, man. Dylan Hubbard, are you in here? That's not that far off the coast. 60 or 45 plus feet of waves. So the story of this is this. This is close to the coast. This isn't surge, but this is why we're seeing that surge into Tampa Bay. Remember, surge, tides get added to surge, and then you have waves on top of that. So you get an intensifying hurricane coming ashore. It might be 4 or 5 feet. The waves on top of that is what really brings in the water. Waves, the mean water line increases, but then the waves are what really brings in the surge. So it's a lot of water. Very interested in that. So, all right. So what else are we doing? Yep, we got supermoon sandbags. Yep, they're everywhere. Hey, appreciate the support on Tiger Dam. They sold out. I met the owners of Tiger Dam. They're great partners with the state, and they do a lot around the world. But I'm happy that we're going to help spread their products and be a solution to sandbags. Plus, he throws a heck of a party at the GHC. Yeah, so listen, at this point in the game, if you call it a game, I'm kind of numb right now because, we had a major hurricane on the NHC map when we were counting down Ian. It was a little different feeling because when you see the M and you see the reality of a major hurricane, it's different than speculation. And I got to be really careful about overstepping my reach, and trying to, go higher than the NHC when we have to follow them. They do make small reactions. They don't make knee-jerk reactions. But we're seeing a steady climb in their predictions. 75 yesterday, 100 now. So every model run that comes in, if this thing continues to show up like they're showing, they're going to start mentioning they even said major hurricane in their discussion as a possibility. So that changes everything. That creates a lot more evacuations, a lot more, inland effects. So it's so important to monitor this thing, and I guess expect the worst. I would be using intensity models, not the tracking of I have not seen good track success with the HWRF. I don't know how well the HAFS did. Apparently they said it performed 15% higher than everybody else last year. I don't know that for a fact. I might need to Google it, but maybe the HAFS is a good model to track. But I love spaghetti ensembles. You look at blends, you look at trends, and so far the trend's a little bit to the east. We might get a little wiggle back to the west, but we're not seeing big shifts in this final track at this point. So the problem with Tampa Bay, the West Coast, 20-mile difference between Ian with Fort Myers and Tampa. A 20-mile shift is all it took for everybody to get mad. People get mad when they evacuate and we don't get hit. I don't understand that. I guess the only thing I've changed a lot is I understand evacuations now. I understand talking to first responders, and talking to police and talking to fire. Do you know looting is a real thing? Like you don't hear about it, but you don't want to get stuck after a storm and not have anybody there. Like the police aren't going to be there yet. There's professional looters that were showing up during Ian in the middle of the night, and people told me stories that they could see across the street. There was no power, but they could see flashlights, and that's a scary feeling to know that there's people walking around in pitch black stealing things. You don't have power, so if you're in an evacuation zone, it's your decision when it comes down to it. It's just, I suggest people when they're older. If you're relying on oxygen or, just find a friend or family inland if you can. There's a lot of great shelters that you can find with your local counties. They'll be publicizing them, and there's always transportation. Most counties have transportation services. But I guess the only thing I'm worried about is a little shift to the east, and a lot of folks are going to be unprepared. So we just got an alert. Julie sent me Hernando County, no school Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. So it's coming. There are going to be a lot of schools closing along the Florida peninsula. Good for the kids, right? All right, so we're normal tomorrow, 9:19. I just got a text, I believe, from the state. We might be live with Kevin Guthrie. What day is tomorrow? Monday? So let me get it. I just type back, hell yeah. See, when you're an unofficial meteorologist, they're probably going to laugh at this one. So watch for that. We're going to have a special live tomorrow with Kevin Guthrie in the state of Florida. So, and we'll know a lot more tomorrow, trust me. When you wake up in the morning, we're going to know the tracks are going to get a little more fine-tuned. We're going to have a new update at 11 o'clock from the National Hurricane Center. There'll be a new update at 5 o'clock from the National Hurricane Center. There'll be warnings now tomorrow. Don't get caught up on the fact that you're in a watch and think, oh, that watch is just a prelude to a warning. All right, anything else? Hey, my buddy Greg Montgomery. Got my generator running, man. Mike E, how's it going, buddy? Drew Garabo, probably. Love my Drew Garabo guys. Somebody's asked about Southeast Florida for sure. This thing tracks just a little bit. It's all in that angle. And this thing's getting a little bigger. Some of the modeling is suggesting that on that the size, the initialization on the size is definitely greater than it was earlier today. Just the overall expansion of the storm. A lot of moisture, and that's going to bring more effects inland for sure. So, okay, appreciate all the subscribers. Listen, if if you email now, probably not going to get much support. We try to get everybody all squared away when things are slow. My big thing now is keeping everything running and just hope things keep running. But I'll be taking off Tuesday after our daily brew storm chasing, so I invite everybody to watch that. The storm should be hitting late Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, so I'll be out in it somewhere. Like I said, heavy rain, tornadoes. I would worry more about a continued shift east than I would. Hey, Greg, I got your text, buddy. Thanks. I mean, look where it's at tomorrow morning. It's almost at the hitting Cuba. And like I said, what we've learned in Florida is these things turn. They turn on the east side of the cone. I think I mentioned it to everybody. Where I live, Tampa, I would be more worried tomorrow that the center line was west of us than on top of us, because it seems like a day or two before a storm, when it's on top of Tampa, it all turns south. Irma, Charlie, Ian. So my concern is that. And if we see some of these normal or these intensity models come into play, let's hope not. Worst thing can happen is it doesn't happen, and everybody says, "Why'd you share those models?" Well, because that could have happened. But this, like look at this as the sun goes down, right? Incredible. See, now this is not something we've seen all day today. Right now, look at that right there. See that big blow up of bubbling, and we see the little lightning strikes going on right there. This is as the sun goes down on the Cancun side of town. Those are pretty high cloud tops popping here right at the last second, and that I assume is center. I don't even know. I keep clicking the same damn link there. Yeah, well, that kind of is center. This is where they initiated center at 5 o'clock. exactly right there. So that blow up of thunderstorms we're seeing right now, this right there, is happening currently right there. So that is definitely signs it's intensifying right now. Now it doesn't happen overnight. You get these little bursts of convection, but guaranteed. What's it look like on infrared? I wonder. I bet you we're going to see some white and purple. Anybody want to bet we'll see some white and purple? White and purple, white and purple, white and purple. Oh, hell yeah. We got a lot of white and purple. Look at that. Boom. So it's definitely going under some intensification right now. There ain't no doubt about it. First time I've seen lightning in the main convection area, of the main center. I've been watching for the lightning to happen. And the lightning is a sign of strengthening by the core. Lance, thank you, buddy, for the donation over there. YouTube. Katie, what's up? Neighbors, your neighbors. We'll be live tomorrow. Yep. If we do get any brew crews, I appreciate it. Listen, we go all year long. You know, we got a little weather family. We got a little community chat area. We mail Christmas cards and we talk. So, you know, it's fun. We have a diehard crowd that helps support what we do. And I do appreciate it. We got Starlink now, funded by the Brew Crew. The Starlink's in the truck. The coolest thing about my Starlink is I have a little inverter generator and a 0E. Of course, my buddy Greg, the 0E is amazing. It's a battery generator, basically. So I can plug my Starlink in that thing, and it'll probably run a day. I was looking at the wattage on it. Nothing. So my 0E will probably run my Starlink forever, for days. I don't know. So I can't wait to lose internet and say, haha, because our spectrum goes down a lot. Jason Glover got Starlink. Yeah, hey, I'm an Elon fan. We finally got that Tesla. Julie loves it, man. She absolutely is in love with it. I love it too. I won't tell anybody, but David Duncan, look at that. Would that be the old race car, David Duncan? Greg, what? No, Mike, am I what? Lori, hey, Lori, I try to talk about you all a little bit. Oh, that's a different Lori, USVI. Well, let's see. Hey, look at old Hubbard's Marina. Hubbard Marina, Dylan, 45-foot seas on the Euro just off the shore. What is that? Has that happened in Tampa Bay? Have we had that high of seas off the coast of Tampa Bay ever with an approaching storm? Again, everybody's wrapped up in the landfall, but a storm passing 30, 40 miles off the coast of Tampa, nobody knows. But there you go. Shelly does a great job, everybody. We love her to death. This is like 4 or 5 years now, her helping behind the scenes. Greg, I appreciate it. You know, thanks for all you do, Greg. Furman. Greg, since you're one of our big sponsors, you know what your sponsorship money helped this month? Where are they going? The prom, what is it called? Homecoming?
Homecoming.
The girls bought 2 homecoming dresses tonight. I did not even ask.
It isn't as bad as you think.
It's not. It is bad as I think, because she said that the guy was so nice he took $200 off of them. I'm like, what? So he gave you money back?
I paid cash for some of it too. So
yeah, she always pays cash because she didn't want me to know how much it was. But hey, you only live once, right? They will be generating the glow of homecoming. Sarah got one. She's so cute, man. She's so excited. She'll be the homecoming queen of Eastlake High School. I am nervous for Pinellas, Jacob. I cannot lie. My biggest fear has always been the west coast of Florida, mainly because I live here. But the fact that so many people think that we will never get a storm like this. And the fact that it's only showing earlier today, 75, 90, 100 now, I still think people don't know the real possibility that this thing could turn just a little bit and we'd have a lot of effects. A lot more than people realize. If this system's 500 miles wide, so again, it's going to spread outwards. It won't have to have a landfall to cause a lot of damage and surge. So thank you, Sissy, from Michael. Met a lot of great people up in that area. I've been texting my good buddy Mark Sheldon from Panama. He's been getting updates from me, and it looks like Panama City is going to be on the better side of this thing. Greg Bruce, I've been watching all the tropics. I know it's it's hurricane season. Peak of season's not even until September 10th. They talked a lot about maybe a stronger early mid-season than an end season because El Nino's on its way and maybe, hopefully, but again, the water's record warmth, I show that all the time. It's 3 to 4 degrees above normal. We look back at water temperatures during Michael and during Charlie and Andrew, and the waters are hotter now. What do I think it can reach? Well, when you see 930 range on the models, that's, it's worrisome. It's very worrisome. A turn earlier, it might not have enough time to reach that, but what it also tells me is it's going to be deepening through the state. So let's say it hit Tampa as a 950 hurricane, right? Or to the north. Well, the models, the atmospheric conditions are showing that they want, it's not going to have anything really to weaken. It's not going to get stronger over land, but it'll maintain at a longer distance of strong winds through the state. So that always catches people off guard is the inland effects. Trust me, I hear that more than anything. It's like, oh my God, we had no idea. So you're going to get big winds way inland, especially if this thing's fast moving. It won't have time to slow down, man. It's like, Catherine from the Villages, cool. Is it a big party town up there, Catherine? I've heard some stories about the Villages. Power outages, great question, Crystal. Yes. Power outages are always the sneaky. Judith just tried to enter the Brew Crew, Shelley. Little inside story there. How can I zoom into Florida a little bit more here? Well, anyway, power outages are going to be very heavily dependent on where landfall is, and then you're going to have a secondary outage area from winds. But if this thing hits areas that hasn't gotten, storms have it's a natural pruning effect of storms, and trees go down. We're talking 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inches of rain. Trees go down, they go on power lines, and we get power outages. So, there's a lot of trees North Florida. So yeah, widespread power outages, guaranteed. Not like I'm selling anything. You don't get money back if I'm wrong. Give a shout out to Lyman. Oh, hell yeah. I was so naive doing this years ago, I don't even think I knew what a lineman was. Now they're like my best buddies, man. I see them. Nothing like having a big bearded guy come up and give me a hug. These guys are awesome. I've met so many cool linemen. They're awesome. It's good to have friends, right? If we ever need power, I might be like, hey, man, we need power over here. Oldsmar. Yeah, they are great. They, let me tell you about the storm industry. There's a lot of people's livelihoods depend on storms, not because they're greedy or anything. The post-storm recovery is massive. People Still dealing with Michael. They're 100% still dealing with Nicole and especially Ian. There's insurance adjusters that live there for months. Talking to Tammy from OSR today, they'll be down here for weeks. The first damage assessors, tent cities, lodging solutions will be in town. They set up these humongous cities for these linemen. It's just massive the time and stuff people spend away from home, and they love it. But you don't, the storm passes and people, life goes on. But there's a army of people that are left behind helping. Fox News did an article on me last year. People helping people. I had a couple of good moments last year. I really don't even remember saying this, but I've seen this more than ever now. Fox had a big article and story on me, and Florida weather bloggers, neighbors helping neighbors, and that's the one thing I've learned with these storms is you talk about storms and bringing people together. It's the most magical thing that happens, man. Neighbors that you don't ever talk to are going to be on your door lending a hand, and then guess what? You have a connection the rest of your life. I mean, there is a little bit of good with storms because it does bring communities together and bonding. So you don't want to wish that on anybody, but it definitely does. So, all right, what else we got? Scammers, I believe that, Marcia. I believe you. Trust me, I know. Didn't even know what the insurance adjuster industry was, but we got a great company. Frank helped sponsor our race car at Daytona. We've had a lot of MWPs go with him, and he's reputable. We try to work with companies that are reputable, and he's a great guy, and he's a big fan of ours. So, insurance adjusters, if you need them. Unfortunately, where I live, we don't know what to expect. But there's going to be some nasty winds. Irma was pretty bad going up the middle part of the state. We had a lot of damage across our area, and it was only a 1. So I just don't know if a lot of folks are taking it serious enough. This convection's got me really wondering what's going on. We've got a big bubble of convection down there. But if we do get hit hard, we got a lot of support. Furman has a fast team. They'll be on hand helping people with generators at your local Lowe's. We have Done Right Roofing here locally in Palm Harbor. Great roofing company. They'll take care of you. I'm sure when there's high demand, all you got to do is say, "Hey, I'm a Mike Sweller Page fan." Guess what? You get a little more love. But I'm just seeing that he's been updated. I'm patiently waiting on the 00Z model runs. The 18Z model runs just came out. Let's take a look at that. So the 18Z high resolution models are running now. Hopefully we got some. Let's see what we got. I always click on Franklin. Let's see how many hours in we've got. 63 hours. Oh, God. Here we go again. So the latest 18Z HAFS 953. If you're curious, 953 could mean strong Cat 3. Let's see if the latest H-Wharf is out, 18Z. The latest H-Wharf is running now, but see, it's showing 981 off the tip of Cuba. I don't remember where Ian came out at, but, we're getting to the point where that turn that I'm worried about, it's going to happen because this thing is going to be a little more to the east than they originally thought. But we'll see. Overnight. All right, here we go. The HAFSB. Almost exactly like it was before, but 943 millibar. Let's see, it's still 974 over Jacksonville. That's still a hurricane. So again, don't focus on landfall. You're going to see effects. Florida's flat, and it's fast moving. So you're not going to get a lot of weakening as this thing moves in. That's pretty significant still, 943. I think the 18Z GFS has a model we can look at here. And it is showing almost exactly the same, 958. So, man, I'm telling you, 11 o'clock, they're gonna start teasing around with major hurricane. They have to. There's a lot of models showing 960 below. And then the B's running now. So, did I do the H Wharf? No, that was running. That was down there by the. Yeah, it only ran that far. The H-Mon. Let's see that. H-Mon. Sounds like a Jamaican. That's a little farther out, but there's 963. Again, they're not the best track models, but they're good intensity models, and they're all showing stronger than what the National Hurricane Center is. So if we don't see any more shifts to the east, we might even see a little wiggle back to the west, a little wiggle back to the east. I still think it's Tampa to, up through that Big Bend area, a little bit of the Panhandle with a last minute turn. They have moved the cone. The cone has shifted. It wasn't including much of Manatee and Bradenton. Now it is. So the two updates we've had, they've changed the track a little bit to the east. Here's another high resolution. Man, look at that thing. It's bubbling up, man. Holy cow, man. That's some serious time bubbling around. Pete wants to know if it's going to loop you back. Not very likely. Loopy doop. Steering currents. Once these things set sail and get out of here, they really don't do it. So, Crystal, we haven't had a new cone since 5 o'clock. So the 5 o'clock cone shifted to the east a little bit. And when I say east, it also means south because it includes more of the peninsula. Show you the cold front. Yeah, actually, Shelly mentioned that to me too. Cold front's coming down. I'm not talking about the temperatures, but there it is. It's expected to bring cooler weather to the upper Gulf. It was showing next Saturday, maybe even like 60s down in Florida. We'll look at it. What the hell? All right, but there's a current cold front. These lift systems, and they go bye-bye. But there's that. Here's the expected tomorrow. It's starting to feel a little bit, but that's the steering currents. The winds will be coming in and accelerating our system to the northeast from this cold front. I've been reading a lot of big dog Mets talking about a little pocket of shear here, or no, lack of shear, ventilation allowing our system to possibly increase. You hear people say shear, then you hear that. So I distrust the models. And we have model consistency of a Cat 2 or greater. Let's take a look at the cold front. So, because I want to know if we're going to have wood Saturday night. I love wood. Firewood. So dry air comes in behind these cold fronts, and you can see it. Look, right there. There's our cold front line There's our system. But I mean, look at that infrared, man. That's scary looking right there now. Look at, we got 2 storms. What's the chances of that, right? But that's a cold front. Look at that. In dry air, I don't think it's going to make it down like what they were saying. But it's going to make it to the upper Gulf Coast. Let's just keep it on hurricanes right now. But look at the simulated water vapor for, I really can't zoom in like I wanted to. Maybe the Gulf we can. Look at the look on the simulated water vapor loop on the Euro. I mean, that's pretty scary looking. That's a future look at maybe infrared satellite on the Euro. And that's the Euro being conservative. That's a 979 landfall. A lot different than what it was showing, though. That was the key, man. When the Euro went in, then reality came in, right? 979 in the last Euro. All right. I like the Euro. Euro typically has the best track. It reads the upper. My buddy Dennis Phillips said it best years ago, and I've been tracking these things, and the Euro seems to read the upper air patterns at least the most consistent. So anyway, the next, Paul Thompson, next update from National Hurricane Center will be at 11 p.m. There'll be a brand new cone. They'll have an update at 8. So the 8 o'clock is just a location and wind update at 8 o'clock. There's no new cone update until 11. So they'll update what the hurricane hunters have found at 8 o'clock. But the actual cone will change at 11. And all this data that they're finding is getting put into the models. So tonight's 00Z runs might be the best model data yet, because it's hurricane hunters have been, getting data all day. Upper level wind missions, all that data gets fed into the modeling, and so they'll all have access to it. So the models that come out around midnight tonight will have this fresh hurricane data, so they'll be even better. That's why tomorrow morning, I think by tomorrow morning, man, things are going to be very confident as far as the cone getting tighter in potential strength. So we might get warnings 8 a.m. Sam's asking over on YouTube, because EJAC, because you have to be 36 hours out. It's silly, I think, honestly. I think there's confusion when people see a watch and they're like, I'm only going to watch. But anyway, I cut out the middleman, Rick, go flying. Ben wants to know timestamps are just every 12 hours. 00Z, 6Z, 12Z, 18Z. That's Zulu time. I got a conversion up on my site that, for if you're like me and sometimes don't feel like you're very smart. But there's the Zulu chart conversions up there if you want to know what Zulu time converts to Eastern. Not EST, it's EDT. But somebody asked, is an eyewall foreman EJAC over there? Yes, 100%. That's not really an eye yet, but it's showing you that's signs of intensification. When you start getting intense thunderstorm growth at the center with lightning, definite signs that it's strengthening. You might not see it right away, but definitely signs it's strengthening. So southernmost host, thank you. Storm surge, yep. Let me just put it on the official map. This is the National Hurricane Center map. That's kind of makes sense. 3 to 5, 5 to 8, 7 to 11. Apalachicola, definitely, Dean. As long as you're in that cone, I hate to be like simplistic answer, but there are some models a little bit more close to you. So yeah, let's say the front's a little weaker. It's a timing issue. The front's coming down, system's coming up. Front slows down a little bit. Front's a little weaker. Our storm's not going to be influenced as much, and it could go a little more to the north. History says no. History says that once this thing starts taking off, it's going to do its thing and naturally go off to the northeast. Charleston, you're going to see some really nasty weather from this surge and storms for sure Wednesday. And here we are with individual ones. I can't do it. Tornadoes, yes. Always tornadoes with tropical systems. Peninsula, yes. Could have some as early as Monday evening, Monday night, but Tuesday for sure, we're going to see a lot of feeder bands across the whole peninsula. Coming in from the Atlantic, coming around the southeast side of southeast Florida, coming up to the Keys. And then on the backside, like I said, when this storm goes through on Wednesday, we're going to have storms coming in off the Gulf following along. We've seen that a lot. Storms have ended up in Georgia, and we have seen storms still falling behind when this thing is way the heck up here. Not even there. I couldn't draw any farther north, but South Carolina, we would still see, supercells trying to fall behind. These systems become massive, and they pull in moisture from the Gulf. So Tuesday, Wednesday, there'll be a lot of storms across the Florida Peninsula. What did Rick say? Everybody's laughing. What did on YouTube? I missed it, man. Rick, what did Rick say? Oh, I got it, Rick. I can't make half my audience upset if they're all women. You want to hear a funny story? I was sitting here about 2, 3 o'clock. I heard a voice. And I'm like, I thought Julie was listening to a voicemail. And I'm like, who's that guy? She was watching Dennis Phillips live. She was watching Dennis.
I just wanted to hear what he had to say. I'm listening to you right now.
No, you're not. She doesn't listen to me. You know what she said earlier? I said, you want me to get you girls a hotel? She goes, no, we're on the edge of the cone. I'm like, then you didn't listen to me. She doesn't even know the difference between a watch and a warning. Then Emily asked me today, what's a watch? I'm like, what's a new Hurricane Hunter run, Emily? God, keep me up to date. I have no idea. What they do? What are they showing here? Oh, no, that's Franklin. Don't scare me like that. That one's finished. Don't know. This one? This is the upper level air. This is them measuring the approaching front, humidity, things that this storm is going to be entering. They want to know the environment ahead, if that's what you're asking. I don't know what else we got to look at. This one's on that's Franklin. Not sure I'm seeing anything that stands out. Let's see. Anyway, all right. Well, listen, things are good. I gotta post a bunch of stuff. I gotta get likes. Apparently, Kate, you can't really prepare for tornadoes. The best advice for this is have a weather radio. God, I wish I was in time. I'm gonna be selling one soon, but radar really is your best friend. Watching the approaching squall lines. I mean, watch if we're under a tornado watch. We can have tornadoes not being in a tornado watch, so that always concerns me. So just know that when we have feeder bands and storms rotating in, that any one of these lines of storms can produce a tornado. We have a lot of competing winds, from the north, from the south, or different levels, and so the tornadoes primarily are going to be on the let's say a track like that. They're going to be mainly on this side, depending on where our low's at, and as our storm passes, they're going to shift to the other side of the state. So once our storm's here, the tornado threat increases a little bit more. So really on the backside, you just kind of got to follow that circulation. And like I said, when the storm's way up here, we're going to see the possibility of these squall lines. So you just don't know. You can't predict it. You don't get a lot of storms on approach on the west side. You get them primarily on the east side. Just know that there's a chance. I mean, that's all you can do with tornadoes. I mean, I've seen tropical systems have tornadoes and not being under tornado watch, so it's confusing for people. But we'll have an SPC map, which I'll share on Tuesday. Storm Prediction Center already starting to show it right here. See, this is potential. This has to be for Tuesday, right? Is this Tuesday? This is Tuesday. So the potential for isolated tornadoes gradually increases across the state Tuesday. And this is when the storm's like way over here somewhere. And this will all increase as the storm, So we'll look at things like this. When you're in dark green or yellow, the tornado chances are there. And they will be there. All right. Cool. I got to post a bunch of stuff, so we'll have a lot of data in the morning. I'll be live at 9:19 tomorrow. Can't say we're going to have a major hurricane until we see the National Hurricane Center say it, because they know maybe a lot more than we know. But what I'm seeing, there's quite a few models predicting something stronger than 100 miles an hour, and that's what we got to worry about. Any little shift to the east gets here quicker.
Did you see what Ryan Hall said?
What?
I don't know, Shelley told me to say that.
Oh. Cool. All right, 11 o'clock. I'll be up until that, so watch for an update from me. I'll be updating a bunch of stuff here all the way till 11, so we'll put the 11 o'clock update on. Watch for a little more intensity increase from the NHC is my prediction, and I don't know if we're going to see much track change. So there you go. Have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Stay safe. Hope some of this information was helpful for you. And I will see everybody tomorrow. Okay? Bye.